I'm standing on my dock at sunset, watching the water turn copper when I hear tires on gravel. Not the friendly crunch of a neighbor stopping by with beer. This is deliberate. Slow. The kind of approach that says I'm here on business. I turn around and see a silver Lexus pulling up to my cabin. The woman who steps out is maybe 55, hair sprayed into a helmet, wearing a pantsuit that probably cost more than my truck. She's holding a manila folder like it's a warrant. Mr. Callahan? Her voice is clipped, efficient. That's me. She doesn't smile. Diane Mercer, HOA president. I'm here to inform you that this property is in violation of 17 separate covenants. You have 72 hours to vacate. I blink. Excuse me. She opens the folder, pulls out a thick stack of papers. The previous owner failed to disclose that this parcel falls under the jurisdiction of Clearwater Estates HOA. These violations, she taps the stack, have been accruing since 2019. The total fine is $48,000. Since you can't pay, the property reverts to HOA control per Section 12C of the covenant agreement. I take the papers. They look official. County seal, notary stamps, the works. There's a transfer of title form with my grandfather's signature at the bottom. My grandfather, who built this cabin in 1987, who taught me to fish off this dock when I was 6, who died last year and left me this place in his will. This is insane, I say. My grandfather owned this land outright. No HOA. No covenants. He paid cash for it 40 years ago. Diane's smile is thin. Perhaps he didn't read the fine print. Regardless, the law is clear. 72 hours, Mr. Callahan. After that, we'll be forced to involve the sheriff. She gets back in her Lexus and drives off, leaving a dust cloud that drifts across the water. I stand there holding the papers, my hands shaking. Not from fear. From rage. Because here's what Diane Mercer doesn't know. My grandfather wasn't just some old guy who liked to fish. He was FBI. 32 years. Fraud division. He taught me to spot forgeries before I could drive. And these papers? They're good. Really good. But they're fake. Tell me where you're watching from. And has an HOA ever tried something like this in your area? I go inside and spread the documents across the kitchen table. My dog, Hank, a chocolate lab, settles at my feet, sensing my mood. The covenant agreement is dated 1985, 2 years before my grandfather bought the land. The notary seal looks legitimate. Embossed, holographic strip, registration number. The signatures are clean, no obvious tremor or tracing. But there are problems. First, the paper. It's too white. Documents from 1985 should have yellowed, especially in a county clerk's archive. This stock is maybe 5 years old, max. Second, the font. The body text is Times New Roman, which is fine, but the headers are in Calibri. Calibri didn't exist until 2007. It was the default in Microsoft Word 2007 and later. Third, my grandfather's signature. It's his signature, no question, but it's from the wrong decade. I've seen his writing evolve over the years. This signature has the slight tremor he developed after his stroke in 2016. It's physically impossible for him to have signed this document in 1985. Someone copied a recent signature, probably from his will or a medical form, and pasted it onto a fake covenant. I take photos of every page. Then I pull out my phone and call the county clerk's office. It's 6:15 p.m., so I get voicemail. I leave a message asking for copies of any covenant agreements filed for my property address, any year. Next, I call my buddy Marcus. He's a paralegal in town, handles real estate disputes. Marcus, I need a favor. Someone just tried to seize my cabin with fake HOA papers. Fake how? Anachronistic fonts. Wrong era signature. The works. He whistles. That's bold. You call the cops. Not yet. I want to know who I'm dealing with first. Smart. Forward me the docs. I'll run the notary numbers, see if they're real or fabricated. I send the photos. While I wait, I make dinner. Grilled walleye I caught this morning, rice, green beans. Hank gets the skin. I eat on the porch, watching the lake turn dark. My phone buzzes. Marcus, notary number is real, he says. Belongs to a woman named Brenda Kowalski. She works at a law office in town, Mercer and Associates. Mercer, Yeah, as in Diane Mercer. She's a lawyer. The HOA president thing is a side gig. I lean back in my chair. So she's using her own notary to forge documents. Looks like it. But here's the thing. Brenda Kowalski's license was suspended 6 months ago. Ethical violations. She's not supposed to be notarizing anything. Can you get me her contact info? I can do better. I'll file a complaint with the state notary board tomorrow. If she's stamping fake docs, they'll investigate. That's a felony. Thanks, Marcus. I hang up and sit in the dark, listening to the loons call across the water. Diane Mercer is a lawyer. She has resources, connections. She probably thought she could steamroll some grieving guy who just inherited a cabin. What she doesn't know is that I'm not just some guy. I'm a systems engineer. I design security protocols for a living. I know how to document everything, how to build an airtight case. And my grandfather? He left me more than this cabin. He left me his files. I go into the back bedroom, my grandfather's old office. It still smells like pipe tobacco and Old Spice. His desk is covered with fishing magazines and hand-tied flies, but underneath, in the bottom drawer, is a fireproof lockbox. I open it with the key he left me. Inside is FBI credentials, commendations, case files from some of his biggest investigations, and a leather-bound journal where he documented every major decision he made after retirement, including the purchase of this cabin. I flipped to the entry from June 1987. Closed on the lake property today. 12 acres, 200 feet of shoreline. Paid $87,000 cash, no lien. Verified title search going back to 1923. No easements, no covenants, no restrictions. Clean as a whistle. This place is for the family. No one takes it from us. He underlined that last sentence twice. I take a photo of the page. Then I photograph the title deed, which is also in the lockbox. It's the original, recorded with the county in 1987. No mention of any HOA. I also find something else, a letter from the county zoning board, dated 1992, confirming that my grandfather's parcel is outside the boundaries of Clearwater Estates. The HOA tried to annex his land back then, and he fought them off. So this isn't the first time. Diane Mercer is trying to finish what her predecessors started 30 years ago. I photograph everything. Then I lock the box and go back to the kitchen. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Callahan. This is Diane Mercer. I'm sorry we got off on the wrong foot. I'd like to offer you a deal. If you sign over the cabin voluntarily, we'll waive the fines and give you $50,000 as a settlement. This is a one-time offer. Respond by midnight. I stare at the screen. 50 grand for a property worth at least 400,000. I text back. No deal. See you in court. 3 dots appear. Then, you're making a mistake. I don't respond. I silence my phone and go to bed. But I don't sleep much, because I know what's coming next. I wake up at 6 a.m. to the sound of truck doors slamming. I pull on jeans and a t-shirt, grab my phone, and step outside. There are 2 white pickups in my driveway, logos on the doors, Clearwater County Building Inspections. 4 men in hard hats and clipboards are walking around my cabin, taking photos, pointing at the roof, the foundation, the dock. Morning, I call out. Can I help you? The lead guy, bald, 50s, reflective sunglasses, turns. You the owner? Yeah. We're here on a complaint. Multiple code violations. We need to inspect the interior. You have a warrant? Don't need one. County code allows inspections based on credible complaints. I cross my arms. Who complained? Anonymous tip. You gonna let us in, or do we come back with the sheriff? I could fight this, but I want to see what they're looking for. Fine. Come in. They troop inside. Hank growls, and I put him in the bedroom. The inspectors spread out. One goes to the basement. One checks the electrical panel. One examines the plumbing under the kitchen sink. The bald guy stays with me, making notes on his clipboard. This place up to code? I ask. That's what we're determining. Who do you work for? County. You got ID? He pulls out a laminated badge. It looks legitimate. Photo, county seal, holographic overlay. Name, Roger Dennison, Senior Inspector. I take a photo of it with my phone. He frowns. What are you doing? Documentation. I'm sure you understand. He doesn't like it, But he doesn't stop me. The other inspectors finish their sweep. They gather in the living room, murmuring to each other. Then Dennison turns to me. We found multiple violations. Electrical panel is outdated. Septic system doesn't meet current standards. Dock is over the setback line. You're looking at about $30,000 in repairs, plus permit fees. That's insane. This cabin passed inspection when my grandfather bought it. Standards change. You've got 30 days to bring everything up to code, or we red tag the property. Red tag. Condemned. Uninhabitable. You'll have to vacate until repairs are completed. They hand me a violation notice, another official-looking document, county seal, and all, and leave. I stand in the doorway, watching them drive off. Then I call Marcus. They just hit me with a bogus inspection. I say, 30 grand in violations. Let me guess, anonymous complaint? Yeah, that's Diane's playbook. She did this to another property owner last year. Buried him in fees until he sold. You need to fight this now. How? Get an independent inspection. I know a guy, retired county inspector, completely clean. He'll document that your place is fine. Then we file a complaint against Dennison and his crew. Do it. I hang up and check the badge photo I took. Something about it bothers me. I zoom in on the holographic seal. It's slightly pixelated, like it was printed, not embossed. And the registration number at the bottom is formatted wrong. County badges use a letter pattern. This one is all numbers. I text the photo to Marcus. Check this badge. I think it's fake. His reply comes back in 2 minutes. Holy shit. Roger Dennison retired in 2019. This guy is an imposter. I spend the rest of the morning digging. I pull up the county's online inspector registry. Roger Dennison is listed, but his status is retired. No active inspections since March 2019. I cross-reference the truck logos. Clearwater County Building Inspections doesn't exist. The real department is called Clearwater County Code Enforcement, and their trucks are blue, not white. So Diane hired fake inspectors. That's not just fraud. It's impersonating government officials. That's a felony. I document everything, screenshots, photos, timestamps. Then I drive into town. The county clerk's office is in the basement of the courthouse, a fluorescent-lit maze of filing cabinets and bored bureaucrats. I wait in line for 20 minutes, then ask for copies of any covenant agreements filed for my property. The clerk, a woman in her 60s with reading glasses on a chain, types into her computer. Nothing on file, she says. Nothing. No HOA covenants, no easements, no restrictions. Your parcel is listed as fee simple absolute. That means you own it outright, no strings attached. Can I get that in writing? She prints out a property record summary and stamps it with the county seal. I take it and drive to Marcus's office. He's waiting with his guy, a grizzled man named Pete who looks like he was born holding a level. Pete's gonna inspect your place this afternoon, Marcus says. We'll have a report by tomorrow. Then we file complaints with the state attorney general, fraud, impersonation, forgery. Diane's gonna be drowning in legal trouble. Good. But as I'm leaving, Marcus stops me. One more thing. I did some digging on Diane Mercer. She's got a history. 3 other property disputes in the last 5 years, all settled out of court. And she's got a partner, her brother, Craig Mercer. He's a real estate developer. They've been buying up lakefront land, flipping it for vacation rentals. So this is a land grab. Exactly. Your cabin sits on prime waterfront. If they can force you out, they'll subdivide the parcel and sell it for a fortune. I drive back to the cabin, my jaw tight. Diane isn't just some petty HOA tyrant. She's running a criminal enterprise. And she's about to find out what happens when you mess with the wrong family. Pete shows up at 2 p.m. with a toolbox and a clipboard. He spends 3 hours going over every inch of the cabin: electrical, plumbing, foundation, septic, dock. When he's done, he sits with me on the porch. Your place is solid, he says. Electrical panel is old, but it's up to code. Septic was inspected 2 years ago, passed with flying colors. Dock is exactly where it should be. Whoever wrote that violation notice was lying through their teeth. Can you put that in a report? Already done. He hands me a folder. Signed, stamped, dated. You can use this in court. I thank him and pay his fee. Then I sit down and start drafting an email to the State Attorney General's office. But before I can hit send, my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer. Mr. Callahan? A man's voice, smooth and confident. This is Craig Mercer, Diane's brother. I think we need to talk. Comment below. Would you negotiate with these people or go straight to the authorities? I've got nothing to say to you, I tell Craig. I understand you're upset, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. My sister can be overzealous. I'd like to make this right. By dropping the fake HOA claim, by offering you a fair price for your property, $700,000. Cash. You can close in 30 days and walk away clean. I almost laugh. You tried to steal my cabin with forged documents, and now you're offering me money? I'm offering you a way out. Because if you fight this, it's going to get ugly. Lawsuits, liens, legal fees. You'll spend years in court. Is that really what you want? What I want is for you and your sister to leave me alone. That's not going to happen. This land is part of a larger development plan. We've already bought out 6 other properties. Yours is the last piece. You can sell now, or we'll make your life hell until you do. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. Think about it. He hangs up. I sit there, staring at the lake. They're escalating. Fake documents didn't work. Fake inspectors didn't work. Now they're trying intimidation. I forward the call recording to Marcus. I record all my calls, old habit from my grandfather. Then I open my laptop and start building a case file. Every document, every photo, every email. I create a timeline, cross-reference the players, map out the fraud. By midnight, I have a 30-page dossier. And I'm just getting started. Because here's the thing about systems engineering. You learn to think in layers. Defense in depth. Redundancy. Fail-safes. Diane and Craig think they're running a con. They don't realize they're walking into a trap. The next morning, I find a notice taped to my front door. It's a mechanic's lien, a legal claim against my property for unpaid HOA dues and fines. Total amount, $63,000. The document lists Diane Mercer as the lien holder and includes a court date, 10 days from now. I tear it down and call Marcus. They file the lien, I say. Jesus, they're moving fast. That's a foreclosure tactic. If you don't pay or contest it in court, they can force a sale. Can they actually do that? If the lien stands, yeah, but it won't. We've got proof the HOA claim is bogus. I'll file a motion to dismiss. We'll bury them. Do it. But as I hang up, I notice something. There's a car parked at the end of my driveway. A black sedan, tinted windows. It's been there since yesterday. I grab my binoculars and scan the license plate. I can't make out the full number, but I see the first 3 letters, CMG. Craig Mercer Group. They're watching me. I go inside and check the security cameras I installed last year. My grandfather was paranoid about break-ins. I've got 4 cameras covering the driveway, dock, and backwoods. I scroll through the footage from the past 48 hours. The black sedan has been there since the fake inspectors left. And last night, around 2 a.m., someone got out and walked up to the cabin. They didn't break in, just looked through the windows, tested the door handles. I screenshot the footage and sent it to Marcus. They're surveilling me. Possible trespassing. His reply, file a police report. Now, I drive to the sheriff's office in town. The deputy at the desk is a guy named Kowalski, mid-30s, buzz cut, bored expression. I need to report trespassing and harassment, I say. He pulls out a form. Name and address. I give him the details, then show him the camera footage on my phone. He barely glances at it. Looks like someone walked up to your door. That's not trespassing. They were on my property at 2 a.m. without permission. Did they break anything? Steal anything? No, but then it's not a crime. Maybe it was a lost hiker. A lost hiker in a suit. He shrugs. File a report if you want, but we're not going to investigate. I stare at him. You're not going to do anything? Not unless there's actual damage or a credible threat. I leave the station, furious. Back in the car, I Google Deputy Kowalski. His full name is Brian Kowalski. Brenda Kowalski, the notary with the suspended license, is his mother. I sit in the parking lot, piecing it together. Diane Mercer uses Brenda Kowalski to notarize fake documents. Brenda's son is a sheriff's deputy who refuses to investigate complaints against Diane. This isn't just fraud. It's a network. I call Marcus, the deputy who blew me off. His mom is the notary on the fake covenant. Marcus swears. That's a conflict of interest. We need to escalate this above the local sheriff. I'll contact the state police. Do it. And Marcus? I think we need to go public with this. What do you mean? I mean we take this to the media. Local news, social media, whatever. If Diane's running a scam, other people need to know. That could backfire. If you accuse her publicly and can't prove it, she'll sue you for defamation. I can prove it. I've got the documents, the footage, the timeline. Let her sue. I'll countersue for fraud and extortion. Marcus is quiet for a moment. You sure about this? Yeah. I'm done playing defense. That afternoon, I draft a post for the local community Facebook group. I keep it factual, no speculation. PSA. If you've been contacted by Clearwater Estates HOA or Diane Mercer regarding property violations, please verify all documents with the county clerk. There have been reports of fraudulent liens and fake inspections in the area. Protect yourself. I attach photos of the fake covenant, with my personal info redacted, and the bogus inspection notice. I hit post. Within an hour, the comments start rolling in. This happened to us last year. We paid $15,000 to settle before we realized it was a scam. Diane Mercer tried to foreclose on my parents' cabin. We had to hire a lawyer to fight it. I used to work for her law office. She's been doing this for years. The post gets shared. And shared again. By evening, it's been seen by over 2,000 people. Then my phone rings. Diane Mercer. Mr. Callahan. I'm going to give you one chance to take down that post. Or what? Or I'll sue you for defamation and harassment. I'll tie you up in court for years. You'll lose everything. I'll see you in court, Diane. I hang up. 10 minutes later, I get a text from an unknown number. A photo. It's Hank, my dog, sitting in my living room. The caption, nice dog. Be a shame if something happened to him. My blood runs cold. I'm on my feet, running to the cabin. I burst through the door. Hank is fine. He's asleep on the couch, tail wagging when he sees me. I check every room, every window. No sign of a break-in. But someone was inside. Someone took that photo. I checked the security footage. Nothing. The cameras were disabled between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m., exactly when I was at the sheriff's office. They hacked my system. I sit down shaking. Not from fear. From rage. They threatened my dog. That was a mistake. I call my grandfather's old partner, a guy named Frank Salazar. He retired from the FBI the same year my grandfather did, and they stayed close. Frank. It's Danny Callahan. I need your help. Danny. How are you, kid? Not great. Someone's trying to steal my cabin. They've forged documents, hired fake inspectors, and now they're threatening my dog. Frank's tone shifts. Tell me everything. I walk him through the whole story. Diane, Craig, the fake HOA, the lien, the surveillance, the hack. When I'm done, Frank is silent for a moment. Your grandfather would have burned them to the ground, he says. I'm trying. But the local sheriff is compromised. I need someone I can trust. I'll make some calls. I've still got contacts at the bureau. If there's interstate fraud or wire fraud involved, they'll take the case. There is. Craig Mercer has properties in 3 states. He's using shell companies to hide assets. Send me everything you've got. I'll get this moving. I email him the dossier. Then I sit down with Hank and scratch his ears. We're gonna be okay, buddy. I whisper. But I don't know if I believe it. How would you handle a threat like this? Go to the feds, or take matters into your own hands? The court hearing for the lien is in 3 days. Marcus files a motion to dismiss, attaching Pete's inspection report, the county clerk's property summary, and a 20-page brief documenting the fraud. We're solid, Marcus says. No judge is going to uphold a lien based on fake documents. What if the judge isn't on it? He pauses. You think Diane has a judge in her pocket? I think she's got a whole network. Deputy, notary, fake inspectors. Why not a judge? Let's hope you're wrong. But I'm not. The hearing is assigned to Judge Harold Pittman, a local magistrate who's been on the bench for 30 years. I Google him. He's got a reputation for being business-friendly. He's ruled in favor of developers in multiple land disputes. And his campaign donations? Half of them come from Craig Mercer Group. I send the info to Marcus. We need to request a different judge, I say. On what grounds? Conflict of interest. Pittman's bankrolled by Craig Mercer. That's not enough for a recusal. We'd need proof of direct collusion. Then we get proof. I spend the next 2 days digging into Pittman's finances. Public records show he owns a vacation condo in Florida, purchased last year for $850,000. His salary as a magistrate? $120,000 a year. I pull property records for the condo. The seller? A shell company called Lakeview Holdings LLC. I cross-reference the LLC's registration. The managing member is Craig Mercer. Pittman bought a condo from Craig Mercer at a steep discount, probably half its market value. That's a bribe. I send the records to Marcus and Frank. This is enough for a recusal, Marcus says. I'll file an emergency motion. Frank's response is simpler. I'm forwarding this to the FBI's Public Corruption Unit. The night before the hearing, I get another text. Unknown number. Drop the case, or we go nuclear. I don't respond. 5 minutes later, another text. Another photo. This one is a picture of my cabin, with a red condemned sign on the door. The caption, "This is your future." I check my front door. No sign. The photo is fake, or a threat of what's coming. I forward it to Marcus and Frank. Then I do something I've been avoiding. I call my mom. She lives in Arizona now, remarried, happy. She doesn't know about the cabin situation. I didn't want to worry her. Danny, is everything okay? Yeah, Mom. I wanted to hear your voice. You sound stressed. What's going on? I tell her. All of it. When I'm done, she's quiet. Your grandfather would be so proud of you, she says finally. I don't know. I feel like I'm in over my head. You're not. You're doing exactly what he taught you. Document, build a case, don't back down. And Danny? He left you more than that cabin. He left you his name, his reputation. Use it. We talk for another hour. By the time I hang up, I feel steadier. She's right. My grandfather spent 3 decades taking down criminals. I've got his files, his training, his instincts. And I've got something Diane and Craig don't, the truth. The hearing is at 9 a.m. I arrive early with Marcus. The courtroom is small, wood paneling, fluorescent lights, a handful of benches. Diane is already there with her lawyer, a slick guy in a $2,000 suit. Craig is sitting in the back row, arms crossed, smirking. Judge Pittman takes the bench. He's 70, jowly, with the bored expression of a man who's seen it all. Marcus stands. Your Honor, we're filing a motion to recuse based on financial conflict of interest. Pittman frowns. On what grounds? Marcus hands him the property records. You purchased a condo from a company owned by Craig Mercer, the brother of the plaintiff. The sale price was significantly below market value. This creates an appearance of impropriety. Pittman's face reddens. This is absurd. That transaction was entirely legal. Legal, perhaps. Ethical? Questionable. We're requesting that this case be reassigned to an impartial judge. Diane's lawyer jumps up. Your Honor, this is a transparent delay tactic. Mr. Callahan is trying to avoid accountability for his violations. Violations that don't exist. Marcus shoots back. We have documentation from the county clerk proving there is no HOA covenant on this property. The lien is fraudulent. Pittman bangs his gavel. Enough. I'll review the motion and issue a ruling by end of day. We're adjourned. He storms out. In the hallway, Craig Mercer walks past me. You're making this harder than it needs to be, he says quietly. Good. He smiles. We'll see. At 5 p.m., Pittman issues his ruling. He denies the motion to recuse, but he also denies the lien. The plaintiff has failed to provide sufficient evidence of a valid HOA covenant. The lien is dismissed. It's a partial victory. The lien is gone, but Pittman is still on the bench, and he's pissed. Marcus and I regroup at a diner. We won the battle, he says. But they're not done. I know. My phone buzzes. A text from Frank. FBI is opening an investigation. Public corruption and wire fraud. They'll want to interview you next week. I show Marcus. This is it, he says. If the feds get involved, Diane and Craig are finished. But I'm not celebrating yet. Because I know how people like Diane operate. When they're cornered, they don't surrender. They burn everything down. 2 days after the hearing, I'm woken at 6 a.m. by pounding on my door. I stumble out of bed, pull on jeans, and open the door. 3 men in tactical vests. Animal control printed on the back. Daniel Callahan? Yeah. We have a report of an aggressive animal on the premises. We need to inspect your dog. Hank. He's a lab. He's not aggressive. We have a signed complaint. Step aside. I don't move. Let me see the complaint. The lead officer, a guy with a shaved head and a neck tattoo, hands me a sheet of paper. It's a formal complaint alleging that my dog attacked a jogger on the lake trail 2 days ago. The complainant is listed as anonymous. This is bullshit, I say. Hank hasn't left the property in a week. We'll determine that. Now step aside, or we'll get a warrant. I let them in, filming with my phone. Hank is in the living room, tail wagging. He trots up to the officers, sniffing their hands. The lead officer kneels down, examines Hank's teeth, checks his collar. No signs of aggression, he mutters. Because there aren't any. He stands. We're still going to issue a quarantine order. Your dog needs to stay on the property for 10 days. If there's another complaint, we'll seize him. On what grounds? Public safety. They leave. I'm shaking with rage. I call Marcus. They're going after Hank now. Jesus. This is harassment. We need to file a restraining order against Diane and Craig. Do it. And Marcus? I'm done playing nice. That afternoon, I get a call from a reporter at the local paper. Mr. Callahan? I'm following up on the Facebook post about fraudulent HOA liens. Would you be willing to go on record? Absolutely. We talk for an hour. I walk her through the whole story. Fake documents, fake inspectors, the lien, the bribe, the threats. She's furious. This is a huge story. I'm going to run it on the front page. Good. People need to know. The article drops the next morning. Local lawyer accused of running property scam. It's thorough, well-sourced, and damning. Diane Mercer's photo is right at the top. By noon, the story has been picked up by regional news outlets. By evening, it's gone statewide. My phone explodes with messages. Neighbors, former clients of Diane's, people who've been scammed. One message stands out. It's from a woman named Laura Chun. Diane Mercer stole my parents' lake house 5 years ago. We couldn't afford to fight her in court. I have documents. I want to help. I call her immediately. Laura's story is almost identical to mine. Fake HOA covenant, bogus violations, a lien, a foreclosure. Her parents lost their home and moved to a nursing home shortly after. They died thinking they'd failed, Laura says, her voice breaking. But they didn't. Diane stole from them. I'm going to make this right, I tell her. Send me everything you have. She does. Emails, contracts, court filings. It's a goldmine. I forward it all to Marcus and Frank. This is a pattern, Frank says. The FBI is going to love this. We're talking RICO charges, racketeering, wire fraud, conspiracy. How long until they move? Weeks, maybe. Federal investigations take time. I don't have weeks. Diane and Craig are escalating. Then we force their hand. How? We set a trap. Frank's plan is simple. We leak a fake story that I'm planning to sell the cabin. We make it look like I'm caving to the pressure. Diane and Craig will jump at it, Frank says. They'll try to close the deal fast, before you change your mind. And when they do, we'll have them on tape trying to buy stolen property. What if they don't bite? They will. Greed always wins. I draft an email to Craig Mercer. I'm tired of fighting. I'll sell the cabin for $400,000. Cash. Let's close this week. I hit send. 2 hours later, Craig calls. I'm glad you came to your senses, he says. I just want this over. Understandable. I'll have the paperwork drawn up. We can close on Friday. Fine. I record the call. The next day, Craig sends over a purchase agreement. It's full of red flags, clauses that waive my right to sue, clauses that transfer the title immediately, clauses that release Diane and Craig from any liability. Marcus reviews it. This is a confession. They're trying to cover their tracks in writing. Perfect. We sign the agreement, but we don't file it. We hold on to it as evidence. On Friday, I meet Craig at a title company in town. He's brought a cashier's check for $400,000. We sit across from each other at a conference table. The title agent is a nervous woman in her 50s. "Let's get this done," Craig says. I slide the agreement across the table. He signs. I don't. "What are you doing?" Craig asks. "I'm not selling." His face goes dark. "We have a contract. A contract based on fraud. You tried to steal my property with fake documents. This whole deal is void." I pull out my phone and play the recording of our first conversation, where he admitted the HOA claim was part of a larger development plan. Craig stands. "You're making a huge mistake." "No, you did." I leave. Outside, Frank is waiting with 2 FBI agents. "Craig Mercer?" one of them says. Craig stops. "You're under arrest for wire fraud and conspiracy." They cuff him and lead him to a black SUV. I watch from across the street, my heart pounding. One down. The arrest of Craig Mercer makes the evening news. Local developer arrested in property fraud scheme. The story includes interviews with Laura Chun and 2 other victims. The reporter mentions that the FBI is investigating a wider network of conspirators. Diane Mercer's name is everywhere. That night, I get a call from Marcus. Diane's lawyer just reached out. She wants to settle. Settle what? Everything. She'll drop any remaining claims, pay restitution to you and the other victims, and resign from the HOA. In exchange, you don't press charges. No deal. Danny, think about this. A settlement gets you paid and gets her out of your life. She threatened my dog, Marcus. She tried to steal my home. I want her in handcuffs. He sighs. Okay, I'll tell them. The FBI moves fast. Within a week, they've executed search warrants on Diane's law office, Craig's real estate company, and Judge Pittman's chambers. They seize computers, financial records, emails. The evidence is overwhelming. Frank calls me with updates. They found a spreadsheet on Craig's laptop. It lists every property they've targeted, every victim, every payout. Diane's cut was 40%. Pittman got 10%. What about the notary? Brenda Kowalski. She's cooperating. Gave a full statement in exchange for immunity. She says Diane forced her to notarize the fake documents. Threatened to report her suspended license if she didn't. Is that true? Probably. Brenda's scared. But she still broke the law. What about the deputy? Brian Kowalski. He's under investigation. The state police are looking into whether he obstructed justice. I feel a grim satisfaction. The whole network is collapsing. 2 weeks later, Diane Mercer is arrested. I'm not there to see it, but the video goes viral. She's let out of her office in handcuffs, head down, reporters shouting questions. The charges: wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, extortion, and forgery. Craig is charged with the same, plus money laundering and RICO violations. Judge Pittman resigns and is charged with bribery and corruption. The local news runs a series called The Lake House Scam, detailing the entire operation. My story is featured prominently. I do one interview with the same reporter who broke the story. What do you want people to take away from this? She asks. That you don't have to be powerful to fight back. I say. You just have to be persistent. Document everything. Build your case. And don't back down. The interview airs on a Sunday night. By Monday morning, I've received dozens of messages from people thanking me, sharing their own stories, asking for advice. One message is from Laura Chun. My parents would be so proud. Thank you for finishing what they couldn't. I sit on my dock, reading the message, and for the first time in weeks, I feel at peace. 3 months later, the trials begin. Craig Mercer pleads guilty and is sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Judge Pittman pleads guilty and is sentenced to 5 years. Brenda Kowalski gets probation and community service. Deputy Brian Kowalski is fired and charged with obstruction. His case is still pending. Diane Mercer refuses to plead. She goes to trial. I testify. So do Laura Chun and 4 other victims. The jury deliberates for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Diane is sentenced to 12 years. As she's let out of the courtroom, she looks at me. Her expression is blank, defeated. I don't feel triumphant. I just feel tired. The HOA is dissolved. The fake covenants are expunged from public records. The victims, myself included, Receive restitution from the sale of Craig and Diane's assets. I get $150,000, which I use to make improvements to the cabin. New dock, new roof, a small addition. Laura Chin uses her restitution to establish a scholarship in her parents' names. The county appoints a special task force to review all property liens filed in the past decade. They find 12 more cases of fraud, all tied to Diane and Craig's operation. The local paper wins a state journalism award for its coverage. And me? I stay at the cabin. I fish. I work remotely. Hank and I take long walks on the lake trail. One evening, I'm sitting on the porch when I get a text from Frank. Your grandfather would be proud, kid. You did good. I look out at the water, the sun setting over the trees, and I think about my grandfather. About the journal entry he wrote when he bought this place. This place is for the family. No one takes it from us. He was right. No one did. A year later, I'm at the cabin when I hear tires on gravel. I tense for a moment. Old habits. But then I see it's just a UPS truck. The driver hops out, hands me a package. Have a good one, he says, and drives off. I open the package. Inside is a letter from the county. They're renaming the lake trail in honor of my grandfather, Agent Samuel Callahan Memorial Trail. There's going to be a dedication ceremony next month. They want me to speak. I sit on the porch, holding the letter, and I smile. We did it, Grandpa, I whisper. Hank wags his tail. The lake is quiet. The sun is warm. And for the first time in a long time, I'm home. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever had to fight back against a corrupt system? And if you want more stories like this, let me know where you're watching from. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole journey.